make money online, go to Fiverr.com and choose a service from thousands of freelancers, such as YouTube video editing. Then choose a seller who has, for example, 8 or 10-minute videos at a low price. This you can resell at a profit in another place, such as YouTube. So find a creator who's making, let's say, 8-minute videos and resell to this guy. This is how dropservicing works. I've been making dropservicing videos for a long time. As you can see, tens of thousands of people have watched my videos in the last year. And I've also got a school group, school.com/dropservicing. Join the group. As you can see, 2,500 people. And we've got client wins tab where people are sharing their results, that they're actually making money with my strategies. We got a lot of these reviews. So if you want to learn more about dropservicing, watch this entire video because I've got a deep dive on this business model for you in store today. So this is going to be a complete dropservicing tutorial where I'm going to show you from A to Z how to make money with dropservicing online. First of all, 3 things why you should consider dropservicing as your main strategy to make money online. First, low capital needed. Typically, people can start dropservicing with around 50 to $200 or $300. That's it, really. With that kind of money, you can start. And when I was starting out a few years ago, I started with more or less this kind of money, and I was able to scale it to about 10K in revenue in just a few months. Second reason, you can do this remotely. Everybody's now buzzing and talking about the laptop lifestyle, how you can work from Bali, how you can work from Dubai, how you can work from anywhere in the world. You could do that with dropservicing because all you really need is just internet access and your computer. And if you are, for example, a student, if you're unemployed, maybe you have a job and you have some extra hours, you can do dropservicing and you can make some extra money as a side hustle or as a full-time income if you scale it into an agency. I'm not saying that dropservicing is an easy way to make money online. It's a simple way and it works, but of course, it requires time and it requires your effort. Okay, it's not a get rich quick scheme. And third reason, you can make money from your clients by reselling your supplier services. Okay, so it's a proven way, and also it's a very straightforward way how you can make this money. Okay, because sometimes you're gonna go onto YouTube and you're gonna find some videos where it says, make $20,000 a month by entering some prompts on ChatGPT. It makes no sense. Like, money doesn't magically comes out of ChatGPT, okay? And here with dropservicing business model, you have a clear pathway as to how you're gonna make that money. You're making this money from your clients for delivering different services like video editing, graphic design, social media marketing, running ads, SEO, web development, and stuff like that. It's super simple and easy to understand, and value proposition is super clear. I've got a problem with some of these videos on YouTube. For example, have you ever typed in make money online or make money or something onto YouTube? What you typically get is a bunch of videos with tens of thousands of, or even millions of views. Have a look at this. I'm not gonna name any names, but have you ever watched some of these videos? They might be hyper edited. They might be actually very interesting, okay, to watch. But the reality is most of these videos really do not show you any real strategy how to make money. So if you ever watch these videos, okay, have you really made money? Have you made even a single dollar from watching some of these videos? I'm not going to name any of these creators because some of these creators are actually good and brilliant, but some of them are literally just making videos about how to make money, but they actually do not show even a single person who is making money with their strategies. And in my video, in the intro, I already showed that there is dozens and dozens and dozens of people who are making money with dropservicing. There is reviews on my school community. Whether you're new to dropservicing or maybe you've been doing it for a really long time, it doesn't matter. This is going to be a deep dive, a complete dropservicing tutorial. So we're going to start quickly at the beginning. We're going to take just a couple of minutes to discuss what dropservicing actually is. So first thing first, you're going to be reselling services. Basically, you're a bridge between clients and service suppliers. Okay, so we spoke about Fiverr, we spoke about Upwork and stuff like that. So let's quickly go back to Fiverr. So Fiverr.com is mainly what you're going to be using to resell services. Okay, you can find a lot of different services on here. As you can see, there's literally hundreds and hundreds of services in multiple different categories. This is what you can resell. Same thing on Upwork, also second largest marketplace for these services. As you can see, just for web design, we've got over 120,000 projects on there and literally tens of thousands of freelancers, which is absolutely crazy. So second thing is, You basically don't need any inventory, no products. All you really need to do is handle service orders, nothing to do with physical products. Okay, it's not like drop shipping or Amazon FBA or something like that, where you actually physically need to work with physical products, whether you handle inventory or not, but there is no products at all in this business model. You know, a lot of people are really hyped up about drop shipping and they say, oh, this is the best way to make money online. In reality, how many people lose money with drop shipping? Literally just go on Google after watching this video, type in how many people lose money with drop shipping. You're gonna see statistics like 80 to 90% of people lose money with drop shipping. Not even not make money, they actually lose money, because you run ads and you lose money super quickly. And the third thing is you can profit from service arbitrage differences. Okay, that's how this business really flourishes. So you're getting suppliers typically in Asian countries, India, Sri Lanka, African countries and stuff like that, right? This is where your suppliers are based, right? And you're essentially reselling their stuff in US, Canada, Australia, United Kingdom, countries like that. Also, any other country, if you speak local languages like France, Germany, Norway, Scandinavia, it doesn't really matter. You can sell it anywhere you want. By the way, a lot of people just default to the US when they're drop servicing, that they don't understand that there is a lot of people who speak English language in other countries. Just to name a few names: Hong Kong, Saudi, United Arab Emirates as well, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, and stuff like that. There's a lot of places where people speak English, perfect English. You can actually get clients there, okay? And you don't even need to just default to the US. There is a lot of money, a lot of places. And, I've been speaking to one of my clients just very recently, who said, you know what, almost the entire Dubai is based on drop servicing business model. Even in construction, in online advertising, in design agencies, web development, doesn't matter. There's usually a front man in Dubai, right? And somebody's doing the back work somewhere in India, somewhere else. They're usually having a front-facing company with somebody else outsourcing or drop servicing services from somewhere else at a much lower price. So, Dubai could be a good place for you to do drop servicing as well. Super hyped up right now. So basically, you're charging clients a premium over what your supplier is really charging you. Which brings me to today's sponsor, Voice Genie. When you're starting an online business, one of the main things you need to think about is how you're actually going to get sales. Voice Genie helps you with that. Voice Genie is an AI-powered voice bot that allows you to automate a lot of sales tasks, such as gathering leads, gathering reviews, doing cold calls, and a lot of other sales-related tasks. This voice bot do it on behalf of you. Let me show you how to set it up, and also I'm going to place a real call, so this voice bot will call me on this video. Let me show you how it works. When you create an account, you will have assistants, phone numbers, contact lists, campaigns, calls history. So, if you set up a proper campaign, you can do a lot of things. It can do callbacks, it can do follow-ups, it can do literally straight up cold calls. So there's a lot of functionality. But for today's video, I'm going to show you just a basic call. How would this assistant actually call me and, talk to me based on a script? So when I create a new voice assistant, I can literally just create a new voice assistant, add a name, right? Add a company name and stuff like that. And then I need to set it up. So if you click on setup, you can set a goal. So in my case, I want my chat assistant to actually call up brand new leads, brand new clients. So make outbound sales calls is the goal. You can write anything you want here. Who speaks first? Again, you can set it up. This is all AI. This is like real AI, which is really cool. So, hi, first name. Are you interested in getting more clients for your real estate business? This is a script that I just created in just a few minutes, and I'm going to show to the bot what it should talk about, right? But of course, I was really interested how it would work if the person asked a question that is not on a script. So in the video, I'm going to test that as well. So, hi, first name. Are you interested in getting more clients for your real estate business? Also, then we're asking more questions, right? Getting a personalized solution and then trying to get customers' details and book a call. This is absolutely insane. Imagine if you could have your own, cold caller AI cold call calling up businesses. This is really insane. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to test this call. So I'm going to click test, right? And this bot is going to call me just now on my number. So let's wait. Okay, the call is coming up, as you can see.
Hi, Tom. Are
Hello.
you interested in getting more clients for your real estate business? Yeah?
Great. Could you tell me what kind of clients you're currently looking for?
So, sorry, who is this? Sorry, who is this? Who is calling?
Oh, I apologize if there's any confusion. I'm reaching out to see if you're interested in getting more clients for your real estate business.
Sorry,
Could
where are
you
you
tell me
calling
what kind
from?
of clients
What
you're
kind of
currently looking-
what kind of company are you calling from?
Oh, I apologize for not mentioning it earlier. I'm calling from Legendary Creations Media. We're here to help real estate professionals like you get more clients. Could you share a bit about the clients you're looking for?
Oh, okay, I see. Well, I'm really looking just for cash buyers who could just move in quickly and just take a property around California area, pretty much.
Thank you for sharing that. Based on what you've mentioned, we have a proven marketing system using which we bring leads and clients to other real estate companies in the US every day. Would you like to hear more about how it works?
Yeah, that sounds good. Is it expensive?
I understand cost is important. We can discuss the specifics during a demo call, where you'll learn all the details, including pricing. Would you like me to book you for a call with one of our managers?
Yeah, why not? When can that be?
Great.
So when can we do
can
the call?
work around your schedule.
Tomorrow? Can you do
How
that?
about Absolutely. I'll arrange for that. Before we proceed, could you please confirm your contact details so we can send you the appointment information?
Yeah, you can send me appointment info on this number.
Perfect. I'll send the appointment details to your number, which is 2.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your time. Great.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks. I'll hear back
I'm
from
here to
you
help.
tomorrow and we
You're-
can talk. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'll make sure everything is set up for tomorrow.
Okay.
Looking forward to our
Okay.
chat.
Thanks. Okay. Bye.
You're welcome.
Guys, this is pretty insane. Like, as you can see, it was able to handle questions even that are not on this script. You know, outside of the script, is able to handle questions and stuff like that. Guys, this is really crazy. If any of you are interested, sign up using a link in my description for a free trial, and you can try it out for free. You're gonna get some free minutes of doing this, and if you want to get any paid plans as well, you can sign up with that as well. Thanks, Voice Genie, for sponsoring this video. Now, back to the video. Next, benefits of drop servicing. Well, one of the biggest benefits of drop servicing, there is legit low startup costs. You don't need any inventory, don't need any equipment, don't need any large investments. As I told you in this video, like I said, when I started my own drop servicing journey a few years ago, I legit started with just a couple of $100. I had money to invest, which was a really good thing for me. So if I needed money, I could just put in a lot more money. But when I literally started, I just didn't see the need because I needed just a couple of tools. I needed to set up my PayPal, right? I needed to get email marketing tool, and that is really it. I literally spent about $200 or $300. That's it. So this is realistic to start. Now, second thing, flexible work schedule. Okay, so you can work from anywhere. Like I said, if you're a student, if you don't have a job, maybe you have a job where you have a few hours within your workplace where you could work on something else. Maybe you have some time after your work when you come back home, maybe during business days or on the weekends. It doesn't matter. You can work anywhere, anytime. Of course, your clients might want you to reply as quickly as possible, but sometimes, you know, if your client is emailing you or messaging you, you can reply a few hours later, even if you are at work or at study. So that's why it's literally very, very flexible. So you can set your own hours typically. Now, fourth reason, high profit potential. You can set your own prices and your own profit margins. As I showed in the beginning of this video, you can sell sometimes like a $10 service, $5 or $10 service at like 50, 60, 70, 80 bucks. So your profit is really closer to, you know, 60, 70, 80% as opposed to in some other business models where you're looking at 5 to 10% profit after all the costs, okay? And the final reason, it's a scalable business model. You can easily expand drop servicing by adding more services and more clients. Of course, I'm not saying think that it's the holy grail or it's the best thing since sliced bread. There is issues. I realized that, you know what, I can make 5 or 10 grand with drop servicing, right? But beyond that is actually not that easy. Beyond 10K is actually not that easy to scale it. I'm talking about, not revenue. I'm talking about profit. So 5 to 10K a month in profit is not easy to scale this business model. But if you're happy with making that kind of money, right, that's why, this is a very good business model. For me personally, I want to be in 100K a month, 50K a month. So that's why I also want to grow my personal brand. That's why I started, creating content on making agencies, starting agencies, making money with drop servicing and all that stuff. Because I also want to grow my personal brand by helping you guys and, by teaching you guys how to make money. The next thing is finding the right niche. Niche selection is absolutely critical. A lot of people who come to me, maybe send an email, comment under my videos, comment in my school, and they ask, Tom, I've been doing drop servicing for a few weeks, never got any clients, what's happening, what should I do, and all that kind of stuff. Main issue that I see a lot of time is they really do not find any niche. So for example, they say, I asked them, what's your niche? What are you actually doing? What are you up to? Okay, what's your service? What's your niche? And how you really differentiating yourself? And sometimes they say, my niche is like video editing, or my niche is, graphic design. It's not a niche, it's a service. So, for example, video editing for example, real estate agents in Florida, or something like that. Seems a lot more like a niche than just video editing. So you want to combine the service, right, with the niche, okay, and ideally for a very targeted target market. Then if you have all of that rightly aligned, everything can work, okay? But it is important for you to think about, okay, what is my niche? What I'm really targeting? Am I just trying to get any video editing clients out there globally? There's like millions and millions of potential clients. Or am I looking just for 5 or 10 clients a month? That's it. But it's gotta be niche targeted. So first step is consider your personal interest. As you can see, this is like a triangle, a pyramid, okay? At the top, you've got your personal interest. So start with your passions. Okay, what are you interested in? For example, with drop servicing, I showed you already, there's so many different niches, right? Why do you go into something like web design if you have no interest in web design? For example, the good thing about dropshipping as well is that you're going to learn a lot about that industry. If you're going to own a dropshipping business, you're going to actually learn a lot about that industry. For example, those of you who have been watching my videos for a real long time, you know that I started with video editing. And guess what? By actually editing videos for famous, really big channels, some channels over 1 million subscribers, I watched and observed how they are creating content, the issues they're having, how they're getting views and all that kind of thing. Well, then I had this idea of, I actually want to start my own channel as well, build my personal brand. This all came from editing videos for big channels, believe it or not, which is really, really cool. So sometimes when you're delivering certain services, you might come up with other ideas, other business ideas, because you're essentially delivering value for people. Level number 2 is market demand. Look for services that are in demand. You can research Google Trends. You can go on Pinterest and research Pinterest trends. You can scout on Reddit and Facebook and stuff like that. Facebook Marketplace, classified ads, and a lot of different places to understand, okay, what is in demand right now? Well, if you're gonna go for super niche specific services, you may need to do that. But if you go for something like video editing for short form, graphic design, general video editing, and web development, these are like evergreen niches. People need websites and video editing and graphic design, and they have been needing it for the last 20 years. Chances are they're going to need it in the future as well. And it's super important to consider market demand because, I've seen people who come to me and say, Tom, I chose this niche, right? And I chose this service, but I don't see that much demand. I don't feel like there is a lot of demand in that area, but how can I get clients? And typically what I say, you also don't want to, put yourself in a tiny niche where there's literally no demand. Okay, that's an extreme from the first point that I was making, where you have to have some kind of a niche in market, some kind of a target market in your head, but also you don't want to go into super narrow niche where there's literally very low demand, okay? And you're really trying to chasing the clients because there's no demand, okay? So it's super important to find demand. Okay, level number 3, competition analysis. You need to assess existing players in the market.
How are they getting clients? What are they doing? And all that kind of thing. The easiest place to get some basic research is Fiverr itself. You can simply go to Fiverr, right, and see what people are charging, okay? What people are getting a lot of orders and what kind of services are attracting orders. Let's, for example, click on this gig. 5 orders in a queue. Okay, so for this specific service, you can see that people are essentially ordering it, so there is demand, okay? Let's look at this one, for example. So we've got 3 orders in a queue, okay? Now, I'm gonna show you another example, thumbnail design, where there's gonna be a lot more orders in a queue. I know that because, I've used this for drop servicing. 39 orders in a queue. Okay, so as you can see, this has a lot more demand and a lot of reviews as well. So, it really depends on the niche. In some niches, you're gonna have a lot more orders. In other niches, you're gonna have less orders, but you're gonna have more profit because the service is actually higher ticket. Okay, so that's one place where you can check this. Now, the other place where you can check it is also actually on Google. You can literally go to different kinds of online advertising agencies, online digital marketing agencies, and stuff like that. And you can look into, okay, what are they doing? What kind of services, what kind of packages they're currently promoting? And then we've got the fourth layer, which is basically profit potential. Okay, so focus on profitable niches. This is really, really important because I've seen people as well who say, you know what, I want to go into like 3D modeling. Why do you want to go into that niche? And they say, I really like it. I studied it, or I think it's a good niche. I just think it's a good niche. And what I usually say is, look, well, go on Fiverr, see if there is orders in the queue on most popular listings. If there is no orders in the queue, then go check out some, design agencies or something like that, or any niche that you're considering. Check out the agencies. Maybe write some emails and ask them, how busy you are right now. Are you open for some new projects and stuff like that? This is how you can test that they're booked. They have a lot of work. That's how you can test it, okay? If they don't have any work, they can start with your project ASAP. That's a good reason that there is really not that much demand. And, profitability, same thing. You want to check the prices on Fiverr, and with your local agencies or design agencies or something like that, you can email and ask them for quotes. Just find a local agency, for example, in New York, in UK, in Australia, New Zealand, something like that, right? And ask, how much money would you charge for an X service? This is super important because if you do that, quickly you can understand, okay, how much profit would I make if I was using this particular supplier on Fiverr, right, and reselling at these kind of levels. So super important. If you do this entire thing, choose a niche that aligns with your skills, interests, but also is in demand in the market and also has profit potential. So next step is researching profitable services. Step number 1, you want to identify high demand. Look for services with consistent demand. If you're going to go into drop servicing, just thinking about, I want to do XYZ because I want to do XYZ, or because I want to go into this niche because I really like it, but maybe there is no demand or whatever, right? So like I said, identifying high demand services, super important. If you literally go on Google and choose and write, for example, what are the most in-demand services right now? You can find articles just to see the general trends, because everything changes all the time. For example, a couple of years ago, TikTok wasn't that popular, and now there's so many people creating TikTok videos. They need that video editing for those TikTok videos. So things change really quickly. You want to know the data right now. Second thing, analyze competitors. So understand pricing, service quality, and target audience. For example, let's go back on Fiverr. What do you think is the target audience for this listing? So I will design attractive, catchy YouTube thumbnail. Okay, so if I was not a YouTuber, right, I wouldn't probably know what is that? What is that? What is this thumbnail? I know if you're watching YouTube, if you spend a lot of time on YouTube, you understand what the thumbnail is. But if you actually stop a random person on the street and ask, what is a YouTube thumbnail? They might be like, is that a picture on each video, or is it something else, or is it some banner or whatever? Most people probably not even gonna know what the hell that is, right? So, but YouTube thumbnail is this little thing that you click on these videos, right? So, because we know what it is, we know that the target audience for this listing is specifically YouTube thumbnails. There's a lot of other graphic design things you can do, like, you can do YouTube banners, right? You can do Instagram banners, you can do Facebook banners, LinkedIn banners, you can do business cards, restaurant menus, the list goes on and on and on. You need to think of a business and then a specific service that they need, and ideally on a recurring basis, okay? Once you've done that, right, found your target audience, right, understood the pricing and the service that you need to actually offer, research profitability. Now, you need to do your calculations, okay? So on a piece of paper, on Google Sheets, on Excel, whatever, do some simple calculations. For example, here, let's just say, if I'm actually selling this service, right, $5 it costs me on here. After the fees, it's gonna be about $7 and something dollars, right? Now, with that in mind, how much I'm gonna make if I sell it at $25 to a US YouTuber, to an Australian YouTuber, whatever. What if I find a bigger business, right, and sell it at $50? How much money I'm gonna make? One of the guys who was in my drop servicing mentorship a few months ago actually found a client for 60 euros for one thumbnail in France. Okay, and he was working with that client for a considerable amount of time, making a lot of these thumbnails. 60 euros for one thumbnail, which is pretty insane. So I can tell you that you can actually make money in any niche. It's just a question of finding clients, right? And then not cheaping out. You want to keep those margins, okay? How you can calculate it? Very simply. So what are you actually getting from your client, right? And then minus the supplier's cost. And then, of course, you want to put some value on your time. Okay, how much is your time worth? We're going to talk about it more in this video. And finally, 4, evaluate your skills. Determine your strengths and align those strengths with your service offerings. I was just talking about a very interesting niche that I made a lot of money in, which is video editing. So a lot of people sometimes think, oh, video editing. So if I want to go into this niche, I need to be an expert video editor in order to be able to manage other video editors to deliver work to your clients. Absolutely not. When I got into this niche, I just had a super basic understanding, super basic knowledge of how to use some video editing softwares, but my skills were like tiny. Okay, but as I actually got into that niche, as I started, delivering it to clients, getting these videos from my supplier, I asked questions: what software do you use, and things like that. So I got some tips from my supplier, also from the client. But the thing is that is super important. Like I said, it has to really be something that you like, something that you want to invest your time and energy into, because you don't want to be reselling a service that you completely have absolutely no interest. I have interest in video editing. I have interest in graphic design. I have interest in web development. These are the 3 core niches that I'm really providing services. That's because I like these services, which brings me to the next point: setting up your drop servicing business. If you're starting drop servicing just as a side hustle, maybe you want to make a few $100s here and there, right? $50, $100 a month, something like that. Chances are you don't need to overcomplicate things, okay? Speak to your lawyer, CPA, accountant, or do some research yourself, okay? But if you actually want to grow it into a business and, start making at least $1,000 between 1K to 5K or 5 to 10K, in that range, 4 or 5 figures, you gotta really start thinking about, okay, well, if it's a business, if it's making money, then you need to take care and you need to really understand what are you actually doing. Is it legal? Do you need any business licenses and stuff like that? This is what we're gonna talk about in this section. So first thing first is choose a business name. This is super important. Think about brand names: Apple, Nike, things like that, right? If you're gonna start an agency, right, you might work on it for 5 or 10 years or even more. Never know, right? It's a service-based business. You could be working on it for a long time. So choose a name that is actually memorable, that is good, that feels good for you when you're starting your agency. It's also got to be relevant. So for example, if you're starting a web design business, right, you don't want to call it, for example, Tom's Video Editing Agency, and then you're selling web design services and stuff like that. It makes no sense. If you want to sell a variety of services, web design, graphic design, SEO,
web development, stuff like that. If you want to have an umbrella of services, you might want to call your agency something to do with digital marketing. So at a digital marketing agency, because if you do that, then you can sell other services. If you create a super brandable name that is just about websites or video editing, you're really going to be forced to do services most of the time. Otherwise, it's going to not look very professional. It's also got to be easy to understand. You don't want to have like super long names, especially if you're going to get a domain name. You don't want to have any numbers in there or like, really long names where people have to type in for a really long time. Even your email hash should be short, ideally. Step number 2 is register your business. Okay, legally operate and build credibility is important because, in some countries, you have to really register a business pretty much as soon as you start making your first money. In other countries, you can work for potentially a few months, even up to a year before you register. So it really depends on where you live. And, it's something that you have to do. Talk to a CPA, talk to an accountant, do some online research and stuff like that. You need to really understand, at which point you have to start registering or, as a self-employed, as an individual or as a business, setting up an LLC or LTD and stuff like that is really important. And also, of course, typically it will build your credibility. 3 is setting up your online presence. Most of the time, people really get stuck into this for a little bit too long. So even though it's super important, but it's not the main thing. So, I've seen people who spend 2, 3, 4, 5 months just working on a website that they're going to use as their design agency, as their video editing agency. So if you spend 3 months just building the website, like it's already wasted time. Typically, what I say is if you're going to create a website, use one of these design builders, Squarespace, Wix and stuff like that, where you can create a website in literally like 24 hours, okay? It just takes like 24 hours to set up. So if you spend more than a few days on building your website, it's not required. It's waste of time, okay? Social media and business email is also super important. If you are structuring it more like a business, like an agency, typically you want to have your own domain name as well. But if you actually want to do drop servicing here and there as a side hustle, earn a few $100, you can absolutely do it with free Gmails, right? And just, reaching out to people from Gmails and cold calls and stuff like that. You don't really need business emails, websites and stuff like that. So it really depends on your goals and how big you want this business to grow in the future, okay? Also, of course, you can start small and maybe not have a business set up right now, not have emails, not have websites and stuff like that. Once you made a few dollars here and there, then you can reinvest and maybe set up everything at a later time. That is, of course, also an option and up to you. And 4, super important, you want to create your service packages. A lot of people make this mistake. I've seen it over and over again. It's not emphasized enough in the SMMA space, digital marketing space and stuff like that, where people really spend a lot of time just thinking about, oh, I would do this, I would offer this, I would do it in this way. I think this is the right way of doing it. At the end of the day, it's not about the right or wrong way of doing it. It's about what you offer to your clients. You have to make offers, okay? So you have to create service packages and then offer it to your clients. That is super important. Actual offer. So each day or each week, you want to set up a target for yourself. If you're managing, for example, a team of cold callers on a commission basis or something like that, right? As I spoke about in some of my videos, right? Or maybe you're doing cold emailing, cold calling and stuff like that. You want to have targets. How many people I'm going to, show my offer to? Because if you have the best offer in the world, nobody knows about it, nobody's going to buy from you. Okay, so it's really important for you to understand that. Okay, not only I've got a really good service package, but also I've got to actually make offers to people. Now, next super important part is sourcing high quality suppliers. Like how are you actually going to get that? 3 things that you need to consider, and then I'm going to show you how to do it. So trust and reliability. Find suppliers you can rely on for fast service and quality work. As you can see, both keywords are there. Fast, so most of your clients will want fast service delivery. We live in a day and age where people expect everything now. It has to happen literally within a few minutes, within a few hours. People expect stuff to happen now, right? And some suppliers can take a little bit of time. They want to work on multiple clients,
they want to relax, right? But for you as a, as the front man of your dropservicing business, right? You got to really think about, okay, how quickly can I deliver this stuff to my client, because I want to get paid, right? And also, I don't want my client to disappear. I don't want my client to get into a car accident, whatever, right? Get fired from a job. I had a situation once where I was working with a really big and established creator, editing their videos, right? And then one payment I didn't get. Right? And then after some time, I realized that that person was actually fired and I didn't have any other contacts in that company. So, that was pretty difficult for me to get the money back, So situations like that can happen. So that's why when you get someone's deposit, right, you want to really get that job done as quickly as possible, get paid, deliver the work, and move on to the next thing. So fast service delivery, super important, and quality work, of course, this speaks for itself. So if you're going to deliver high quality, people will come back. That's super important, right? Now, second thing is freelance marketplaces research. Check online reviews, testimonials, and portfolios. We're going to talk about it in a second. So super important. Most of the time, as a beginner in drop servicing, you essentially need to default to checking out and finding suppliers on Fiverr, Upwork, People Per Hour, Freelancer.com, these kind of marketplaces, because most people literally can get scammed if you go on, let's say, Facebook groups and like some shaded discords and stuff like that. If you just go out there into the jungle and just go and talk to literally just about anybody on these fake profiles, you can get scammed, So that's why Fiverr, yes, it takes a little bit of fees. Upwork, yes, it takes a little bit of fees, but that's why they flourish as platforms, because when you buy on Fiverr, you're pretty much guaranteed that nothing is going to happen. If something happens, if your supplier doesn't deliver or whatever, right, you're going to get money back from Fiverr. That's why it's really important. And of course, communication is key. Openly discuss expectations, timelines, and special requests. Once you find a supplier that you really think that, okay, we're vibing with, his portfolio is good, prices is good, and things like that. So now you want to communicate, okay, what do you want from this supplier? If it's for web development, how many websites a month does he need to create? Okay, and things like that. If it's for video editing, how long a video will take for him to edit and send to you? Is there any internet connection issues where, sending a 20 gigabyte file is going to take you 3 days? I had that before, okay? So then you want to go onto Fiverr. And like I said, in most cases, if you're a beginner, you pretty much want to default to these platforms because here you have security. Yes, there is some fees, but you have security. So that's why I really, really recommend doing that. How can you check out someone's reputation? Typically, the number of reviews is pretty much the main thing that you want to look at. So if, for example, click on a video, right? You want to see how many orders in a queue they're currently getting. Look at this one, 49 orders in a queue. That's a very good sign. Chances are people are coming back to this guy. 7,000 reviews. This is absolutely crazy. 4.9 stars. The highest stars you can have on Fiverr is 5 stars. 4.9 or 5 is always very, very good sign. Also, it says this seller has many repeat buyers. People are coming back. Now, this is really, Fiverr is giving you all that info. You just gotta really do that research, okay? Of course, read the description, read the what is this person really offering? Because sometimes miscommunication can happen when you're not reading the right thing. For example, here in, video editing, it says 5 minutes running time, 3 minutes of footage provided. Some people buy this and think that he's gonna edit a 30-minute video for this price. In reality, it's the footage that's 30 minutes, right? And the final video is gonna be 5 minutes, right? Also, if you need color grading, this is not included here. Okay, so if you're gonna buy this, you can't complain about not having color grading, pretty much, right? So what is super important as well is reading those reviews. What I really love doing is I love reading the negative reviews. So for example, I sometimes just, before choosing a supplier, I sometimes think, okay, what are the negative reviews I need to see and how recent there should be in order for me to shy away from that seller? Look at this one. This was not great experience. As some have mentioned in their reviews, the editor lacked creativity. Transitions were bland, and instead of adding visually appealing graphics with the information I provided, he inserted random screenshots he found on the internet. That's a bad thing. Now, if we click on 1 stars, let's see, 3 days ago, he promised to send me videos by 1, but he didn't send me anything, blah, blah, blah. So, it's super important to see how recent this was. 2 weeks ago, 2 months ago. It's pretty recent. Okay, that's a problem, right? It's a little bit of a problem. Even though there's a lot of good reviews, but some people are not happy. But of course, you have to understand, okay, is this like a one-off thing? And there's got to be some tolerance as well for some of these things to happen, because you're not going to please everybody as a supplier, right? Next thing, establish pricing and profit margins. Super, super important. So as a basic thing, you want to charge about $20 an hour if you're going to work on an hourly basis, okay? When you are a beginner. In an advanced scenario where you have been doing dropservicing for a while, you kind of want to charge about $50 an hour, being that kind of range. And for premium services, maybe it's a premium niche, maybe it's a super, super detailed, complex work. You want to be really looking at about $100 an hour that you charge, okay? So based on your experience, portfolio, and stuff like that. Now, this is what you charge to your clients. Now, when it comes to profit margins, typically I say you want to target at least 50% margin. So if you're charging $20 an hour for your client, you want to get a supplier for maximum $10. Here, your supplier has to cost you maximum $25, and here your supplier has to cost you maximum of $50 an hour in order for you to make at least 50% margin. Now, if you're talking about not per hour pricing, but per project pricing, what you can typically do is you can think about it that way. Okay, so if I can get, for example, a $50 video edit, can I resell it at $100? If yes, then you've got yourself a 50% margin. Things like, for example, web development. Sometimes you can find people who, for example, will build you a website at a very low price of, let's say, $300. Okay, so it's going to have 5 pages, responsive design, is also going to upload content, and is going to have e-commerce functionality. So basically an e-com store for $300 is actually a pretty good price. Now, can you actually resell this stuff at 50% margin? Absolutely, no problem. $600, an e-com website for $600 is not a bad price, right? But can you actually sell it at more, $900? Chances are yes, you can. So here, your profit margin can actually be more than 50%. So you want to sell it at minimum double, but ideally more than double if possible. Next, building a portfolio of services. So first of all, when you're starting your dropservicing journey, I really recommend starting with 1 or maybe 2 services. You don't want to start offering everything. And I've seen people who, send emails to clients and they say, we are, best digital marketing agency in the world. We offer video editing, graphic design, SEO services, script writing, copywriting, graphic design, all that kind of thing. And it's like a list of things. When clients get these kind of emails, they think, jack of all trades, master of none. So you're doing everything, but you're not really offering anything of value. There's no portfolio. How are you going to really know all of these things? But when you are drop servicing, what you essentially want to do is you want to focus on something. You want to focus on something because when you focus on a specific 1 or 2 services, right, then to clients, you're going to look like a specialist in that area, which can actually create them the dream outcome. Like if they need video editing, it's going to be good video editing. And of course, through the portfolio that you send to them, you're going to communicate that, but also through all the communication, if you give them too many services, they might get confused. What are you actually offering? Some popular services include, like I said, video editing, graphic design, animation, social media marketing, web design, running of ads. After some time, once you get some experience, of course, you can start expanding. So, gradually you can expand. Add services that complement existing services. Increase the value of your offering, and then you can, by not just increasing price, but also increase the actual value as well, and attract new clients. What do I mean by increase the value? Well, increasing the value could be that you started working maybe with a very basic, website designer, whose quality was super, super average. Like it's not so great. Like you wouldn't feel good creating a website for yourself using the supplier. And then you think, you know what, probably I want to move to a supplier who is charging a little bit more, right? But actually delivers much higher quality, okay? So that's what I mean by increasing value, right? You want to increase the quality of what you're offering, okay? And then attract new clients that way as well. Now, effective marketing strategies. So there's a lot of different marketing strategies that you can use for drop servicing, right? But most of the businesses that are in the drop servicing space really use these 4 things. So as the core, we have email marketing and cold calls. Okay, so this is a lot of the stuff that I personally specialize in, email marketing and cold calling, right? So with this, you can pretty much just cold approach businesses, okay, and then convert them into potential clients. There are specialized websites where you can find people, and specialized groups as well on Facebook, where you can find people who are gonna work on commission only basis. They bring in you deals, right? And you pay them 10, 20, 50% commission, depending on the client that they bring to you. It's negotiation between you and them, okay? The other super big thing as well is content marketing. A lot of people actually create content. So, for example, as a video editor, sometimes creates content, right? And then in his videos, he has in the description contact details. This can be on YouTube, this can be on Instagram and stuff like that. By doing that, people watch his video, right? And then they can find that, oh, this video was edited by XYZ. Here is the email. People can contact you. This is something you can do as well on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and stuff like that. Now, targeted ads. A lot of people also do this with drop servicing. You just advertise a service. For example, we make websites for X niche, okay, and you run these kind of ads on Facebook, on Instagram, Google ads, and stuff like this. It is a way to do it, but of course, if you can imagine, most of these things, right, these three are pretty much free or nearly free, low cost, right? This one is not. Like, if you actually want to run ads at scale, Facebook, Google, IG, man, it's gonna cost you a lot of money. You're gonna put in 2, 3, 4, 5K a month in ads, but of course, then you can bring in a lot of clients. So some people in my community have scaled up dropshipping businesses with ads big time. One guy, he scaled up to about 50 grand a month, okay, dropshipping business with ads. So it can work, but it requires a lot of money. So you might want to start with these three options. And this thing is also very, very important and very interesting as well. A lot of people these days, they just default to the internet. They think, okay, how can I actually get clients on the internet without stepping a foot off my door? Okay, but sometimes maybe actually networking in the real world, right? Going to some business events and stuff like that. Maybe go to local business owners meetings and stuff like that, local real estate meetings, and just talk to people. Hand out some business cards and say, look, I'm offering video editing, graphic design, web development. Do you need any help? Having said that, still, social media marketing on the internet is one of the best ways to get clients. This is how I got my initial clients when I was starting out for video editing and stuff like that. So it is definitely a very, very good way to get your initial clients. So you can build your presence and target your ideal audience. On the internet, there is a huge amount of people that you can, of course, target. Unlike in some of your local circles, local businesses, you're bound to a very small target audience within your city or state. It's really very limited. But on the internet, you can literally target anybody. That's why it's really good. If you see, I don't really include TikTok in here, even though it's one of the biggest platforms at the moment, right? But I typically do not see very high quality clients on TikTok. Somebody on LinkedIn will be a lot more likely to pay money than somebody on TikTok. A lot of people on TikTok are actually, teenagers, right? They don't really have that much money. And if you target somebody on LinkedIn who is on like 6-figure salary or 7-figure business, right? They have a lot of money, even though you might not get that many views and comments and responses, but just one client from LinkedIn could make you a lot of money. YouTube is also very, very good for getting clients. Use relevant hashtags when you post, when you market yourself, post engaging content, and you can, of course, run ads if you like. Now, this is really important as well. Provide great customer service. Super important. In dropshipping business, it's not like dropshipping. It's not like a one-way communication where, you sell a product, right? If that product is not good, your client is not going to buy from you, and that's it. In this business, it's different. We're dealing with people. We're dealing with services, right? What we want really is we want people to come back and order from us again. Look at this guy, for example. This guy who is creating thumbnails, right? I have personally ordered from this guy probably, I don't know, maybe 100 thumbnails at this point. A lot. People are coming back to this guy so often because he's delivering a good service, very high communication and stuff like that. There is issues, right? Sometimes there's small revisions needed and stuff like that, but it's good service, and that's why I'm coming back to this listing. Okay, same thing about your drop servicing business. Exact same thing. If somebody is going to order from you once, regardless of the price, if the service is bad, if you're not responding, you're not going to get clients as compared to someone else who has higher prices and better customer service. Typically, if people are not happy, the price will be irrelevant. Okay, it's got to be good service and good customer service as well. Reply fast with clear answers. If your client is asking, okay, how long until you make this website? How long until you make this video? How long until you make this thumbnail? If you reply another question or something unrelated, people are going to get annoyed, and they're going to be like, look, I want a supplier, I want a business who is giving me straight up answers to my questions and actually clearing things for me. I don't have to go in circles and ask the same thing over and over again. Okay, you probably don't like that yourself from your suppliers, so why should you do that to your clients? Personalized service, tailored solutions, and of course, exceeding expectations. This sounds cliche, but it's super, super important. In drop servicing, we're talking about tailored solutions. It's not one fits all thing. Typically, most of the services are really based on clients' requirements. So it's tailored, okay? We're not just saying, oh, it's the same thing. It's the same website for everyone. No, real estate website is going to be different from e-com website. For example, also a coaching website is going to look different from a real estate website and stuff like that. Super important as well. And final thing is problem solving. This is really important. When clients come to you, they kind of want to solve a problem. Okay, so if they're creating a website, their problem is they want their clients to find them online, call them up, or send them an email. That's their problem. They want people to find them online, have a web presence, and then call them up, have a way to reach them. That's their problem. Their problem is not just having a pretty website that does nothing. While with video editing, quite often the problem itself is not that a content creator cannot do video editing, but it's the point that he's not having the time. That is the problem. So if you understand the right trigger points when you're speaking to your clients by email, WhatsApp, calls, if you understand the right motivation, the right trigger points, it's a lot easier to land them as clients. Next, managing orders and fulfillment. So assuming you get a client, assuming everything goes well, you got a deposit, you're started to work with your client, right? And then, once your client actually gives you the order, you need to get the requirements as well, right? And then you buy the service from the supplier. So you're going to go, for example, onto here, right? If your client is paying you, let's say $900, right? You ask for $300 deposit. Ideally, the deposit is matching the service fee. And then above that is all your profit. That's the ideal thing, okay? Now with that, so once you pay this $300, right, after the fees is going to be 300 and something on there, right? You buy it on here and you add the requirements of your client. You deliver all of these requirements through Fiverr at the final stage of ordering. There's a field where you can add these requirements. Super, super important, and realistically, once you do that, if you follow my deposit rule that the service fee should be equal or more or less the same as your deposit, very low chance to really lose money from drop servicing. And then once the job is done, once your fulfillment is done from your supplier, they gonna give all the files and all the delivery on the Fiverr platform. You get all these files, right, and then send it to your client. Of course, with websites, sometimes if you're using WordPress and stuff like that, you might need to host the website. You can ask your website developer to help to host it for your client. It's not a problem, okay? And then, of course, like I said, you deliver this to your client. If it's like video editing, it's even easier. It's just a file that you need to send. Same with thumbnail. It's just a file that you need to send. So there's really no problems with that. Now, maintain good communication with both client and supplier throughout the process. Also, offer revisions where relevant, because most people, most clients, like you, like us, us drop servicers, we want revisions from these people, right? These guys are typically offering revisions. Look, unlimited revisions, for example, right? I don't suggest you to have unlimited revisions, maybe 2 or 3 revisions max if you're talking about high ticket service. If it's a low ticket service, just 1 revision is typically enough. Okay, you don't want to do too many revisions. So it is super, super important to have that, because that's when client will trust you a lot more. Scaling your drop servicing business. Super important. Again, 4 points. How to scale your drop servicing business. Expand service offerings. So again, offer more services or niches. So once you have, for example, video editing for real estate, if you have it for content creators, if you have it for, I don't know, coaching founders and business entrepreneurs and stuff like that, you can just add more and more different niches, or you can expand it by offering more services. Video editing for shorts, YouTube thumbnails, YouTube scripting, or for example, web design, whatever the thing may be, you have to expand it. Second thing, build a team. Hire full-time freelancers for more reliability. I've done that. When I started my dropshipping business, I was using Fiverr, and I was just getting these people to do the job for me using Fiverr. But at some point, I realized, you know what? Why don't I just hire a freelance, for example, freelance video editor from Philippines, right? Who is gonna work on my stuff all the time. No other clients, nothing else, just my stuff. That's what I've done, and I've hired a few people, right? I built a team, right? And this is how I operate a dropshipping business, by having freelancers in-house, not by doing it on Fiverr. Long term, it's not a strategy that you want to follow. Initially, yeah, but long term, you want to hire your own people and work with your own people. It's going to be more reliable, and actually sometimes it's going to be cheaper as well. Third thing, automate systems, streamline operations and processes. Think about, okay, how can I scale this business through automation? Automating email campaigns with leads, automate a collection of emails, right? Run ads. A lot of things that you can automate is to do with sales and marketing as well. Also, maybe quality checking. You typically need to check quality with drop servicing business. So how you can automate that to make sure that there is very little involvement from your side to check the quality, the QA, okay? And final thing is strategic partnerships. Collaborate with other businesses. You might find lawyers or, any other businesses, really accountants, who deal with a lot of businesses who are getting set up right now. Those businesses typically have other businesses as their partners, as their clients, who might need certain marketing services. It's very good. If they bring your client, you can give them 20-30% cut for any revenues that these guys bring over to you. Finally, reinvesting profits and expanding your drop servicing business. So the third thing you can do is literally just reinvest your capital that you make with your drop servicing into more business. Typically, that is going to be in improving your sales and marketing. So investing more into your sales and marketing. How to get more leads, how to get more clients. This is the most important part when you're able to reinvest something. So it could be improving, for example, sales and marketing by getting a better email marketing tool, okay? Sending more emails, collecting more emails, right? Finding a person or a script that can get more emails onto you, maybe hiring a cold caller full-time or on a commission basis. It doesn't matter, but improving sales and marketing is pretty much one of the best ways to really reinvest into your drop servicing business. Second thing, new service offerings. So expand into complementary niches, okay? So here again, we're talking about, okay, if we expand our service offerings, chances are the revenue is going to grow. Third thing, build a team. Delegate tasks to free up your time. Because at the end of the day, like if you want to grow, like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, if you want to grow beyond 5 or 10K a month, it's not that easy. You pretty much need to have a manager who's going to be managing your video editors or your web developers and stuff like that. If you grow as an agency, you have to really have a team. You have to build a team of people who actually are going to bring this business forward without you really having to work on it all the time and really take care and look and, control that business. Of course, still you have to control it, but it's going to free up a little bit of your time if you run it as an agency. And finally, scaling efficiently, streamlining operations and processes, automating through tools, and having more people, having a full-time team and stuff like that in-house. Of course, working remotely in Asian countries, but working just for you, just on your own project is the best way. That's how I personally set it up in my drop servicing business. So this was a complete drop servicing tutorial where I showed you how you can get your foot in the drop servicing industry. In this industry, it's really important to know not only what to do, but also what not to do. If you actually still got questions after watching my videos, after seeing the reviews from people who are making money in my community, if you want some personalized advice where I will personally teach you how to start your own drop servicing business in any niche, can be graphic design, web development, social media marketing, ads, anything really, cybersecurity. I'm mentoring one guy right now in California in cybersecurity, for example, okay? So if you want to join my 3 months drop servicing mentorship, email me here and we can talk about it. Thanks for watching this video. Drop a like, subscribe to my channel. I'm gonna see you in the next video.